Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yes, welcome back.
This time we're going deep into the world of crypto and blockchain.
Looking at some of the stories that might have slipped under the radar.
You know those ones that don't always make the headlines?
Exactly.
We've got some really interesting insights from a conversation between a couple of real crypto insiders.
Yeah, these guys are in the thick of it.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
like we're getting a sneak peek behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So what really stood out to me in this conversation was how they connected this whole idea of like cutting edge tech
Yeah.
with something that affects all of us, like government spending.
Right, and specifically this USAID program.
Oh yeah, you mean the one everyone's calling DOGE now.
DOGE, yeah, that's the one.
And from what I gathered, this DOGE thing has the potential to like really expose some inefficiencies in government spending.
Oh yeah, massive inefficiencies.
And potentially save a ton of money.
I mean, we're talking trillions of dollars, potentially.
Yeah.
Trillions with a T, that's insane.
It's a crazy number. And to kind of make this whole thing more tangible, they've actually updated that usdebtechclock.org.
Oh, wow.
To track the potential savings from DOGE.
No way.
Yeah, right alongside the national debt.
So it's like a real-time kind of scoreboard.
Exactly, a scorecard for government efficiency.
I love that.
It's fascinating.
Okay, so we've got DOGE. We've got potential trillions in savings.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Elon Musk is all over this DOGE thing.
Of course he is.
Right. I mean, he's been meeting with Donald Trump, claiming that they could, like, wipe out inflation.
Just by cutting out wasteful spending.
Yeah, exactly. And he even, like, threw out this idea of putting treasuries on the blockchain.
Which has been met with a lot of skepticism.
Let's be real. I'm a little skeptical, too.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a huge difference between, like, brainstorming and actually implementing something like that.
Totally. But what I find fascinating is that this whole DOGE program has really got people digging into where their tax dollars are going.
Absolutely. People are paying attention now.
Yeah, like there was this example of $5 million allocated for condoms in Nigeria.
Really?
Yeah, and people are like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah. Is that really the best use of our money?
Is that really where we should be putting our resources? It's like everyone's suddenly become an armchair auditor.
I love it.
Right. And it's not just happening like online or, on Twitter.
Yeah.
Even former Vice President Mike Pence has been on podcasts.
Oh, wow.
Talking about DOGE and government accountability.
No way.
Yeah, like he was on Tucker Carlson's show.
Wow.
And even Joe Rogan's podcast.
That's interesting.
It's crazy. And even like Bitcoin veterans like Jimmy Song are fired up about it on social media.
It's really captured people's attention.
Yeah. So it all begs the question, what if DOGE actually works?
Right.
What if it actually leads to all these redirected funds?
Right. Bitcoin and the whole crypto world benefit from that.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch.
Absolutely.
But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's talk about something that's hitting everyone's wallets right now.
You mean inflation?
Inflation, exactly.
Yeah.
That recent jump,
0.5%.
Bringing us up to 3% total.
Yeah, a lot of people are feeling that.
Yeah. It's got people worried.
And of course, everyone's debating about tariffs.
Oh, yeah. How those could impact crypto prices.
It's a complex issue.
It is, but it's interesting how much focus there's been on egg prices.
Eggs?
Eggs, yeah. It turns out that the Biden administration's decision to cull millions of chickens.
Because of that virus outbreak?
Yeah, last year, that's partly why egg prices have gone up so much.
Oh, wow. So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. It shows how these seemingly isolated events can have these ripple effects.
Yeah.
And how inflation doesn't hit everyone the same way. Exactly. Some people are more affected than others.
It's a good reminder that inflation's more than just a statistic.
Right. It's something people actually feel.
Yeah, depending on their circumstances.
Absolutely.
So while we're talking about government actions, let's talk about what Jerome Powell said at that Senate Banking Committee hearing.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
It was. And his denial that the Federal Reserve is developing a CBDC.
A central bank digital currency.
Yeah, that was notable.
It was. And his open support for cryptocurrency.
Yeah, he seemed pretty positive about it overall.
Yeah, especially stable coins.
Oh, yeah, he's all about regulating those.
It seems like that's the main focus of the crypto task force right now.
Okay, so speaking of regulation,
right,
that TRM Labs report
claiming
that Tron hosted over $26 billion
in illicit volume last year.
Yeah, that raised some eyebrows.
Definitely did. But we have to remember the difference between illicit and illegal.
Right, because illicit doesn't necessarily mean illegal.
Exactly. It could just mean something's forbidden by rules or customs.
Yeah, like gambling in the UAE.
Right.
It's illicit there, but not necessarily illegal everywhere.
Exactly. Or even selling beef in Mumbai.
Oh, right, because of the cultural and religious norms?
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
It helps put things in perspective.
It does, and it's also worth remembering that TRM Labs is a U.S.-based company.
So their definition of illicit might be influenced by that.
Exactly. Perspective matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
But on a brighter note, there's some good news.
Oh, good. I had some good news.
About that Solana ETF.
Yes, finally.
It's officially in the 21-day public comment period.
So it's one step closer to approval.
It is. The SEC has 180 days to make a decision.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, things are looking up.
I'm hopeful.
This brings up an interesting question, though.
Okay.
Will Solana ETF holders have access to staking as a service?
Because right now with Ethereum ETFs, they don't.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and there's even talk of Dogecoin and Ripple ETFs.
Oh, wow. Possibly getting approved down the line.
That would be huge.
Yeah. So if you're trying to keep up with this whole ETF world...
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
I highly recommend following Eric Belchunas.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
He's a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg.
He really knows his stuff.
He does. He's got his finger on the pulse of all things ETF.
Especially in the crypto space.
Definitely. And while we're talking about positive developments,
hey.
How about that news regarding Roman Storm?
The Tornado Cash developer.
Yeah, his release from prison.
After that, Texas court ruled the sanctions against Tornado Cash unlawful.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is. It's a win for privacy advocates in the blockchain world.
And it could have wider implications
Definitely.
for developers and companies working on privacy-focused tech.
It really highlights the importance of privacy in this space.
For both individuals and companies.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
And talk about some global and UAE crypto trends.
Sounds good.
So, President Trump's efforts towards peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, those are worth noting.
Definitely. And his warning to Iran about hostages.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
It was.
But it's a good reminder that world events
Can have a big impact on crypto markets.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
It makes you think, like, what happens
Yeah.
if countries start adopting Bitcoin as a reserve currency?
And then there's a fork.
Oh, wow.
Would governments choose sides
Yeah.
and potentially create conflict with the broader crypto community?
That's a really interesting question.
It is. It gets at the heart of how nation states
Right.
might try to influence a decentralized system like Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. And while we're talking about influential players,
Okay.
we can't ignore the growing role of institutional investors.
Like BlackRock and Vanguard.
Yeah, they're getting more and more involved in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Their influence is only going to increase.
For sure, it's something we need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
And speaking of trends, have you noticed that surge in Uniswap volume?
On Thursdays.
Thursdays. Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's definitely odd. It's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, just like stablecoin volume.
Which can give us insights into market sentiment.
Exactly. Okay, so closer to home here in the UAE, there are some exciting developments too.
Like what?
Well, the Ministry of Interior is partnering with VAR.
To fight financial crimes related to virtual assets.
Yeah, that's a big step.
It is, and Dubai Future Foundation is collaborating with IBM.
For the Dubai Global AI Hub.
That's exciting.
It is. And then there's Neon, investing $5 billion in data centers in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
And Ras Al Khaimah DAO.
Or IKEA.
DAO. Yeah, they've launched a $2 million accelerator program.
Things are heating up in this region.
Definitely. These are just a few of the trends.
Shaping the crypto world.
Both here in the UAE.
And globally.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive.
But don't worry, we'll be back with part 2 soon.
In the meantime, why not check out the source material for yourself?
And see what insights you could uncover.
You know, thinking about those global trends we were just talking about, it makes you wonder what happens to like individual sovereignty if countries start adopting Bitcoin as their reserve currency.
That's a huge question. And you're right. If governments are holding a ton of Bitcoin, their priorities might clash with the whole idea of decentralization.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what so many crypto enthusiasts believe in.
Yeah, it's like we're watching this clash of titans.
Totally. The traditional financial system with its centralized power structures versus this decentralized world of crypto.
And the lines can get blurry.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Remember how we were just talking about BlackRock?
Yeah.
And how they might have the power to pick a side if Bitcoin forks?
That's a perfect example of how institutional influence can really steer the direction.
Even of these decentralized technologies.
Yeah. It's kind of unsettling when you think about it.
It is. It makes you wonder if a truly decentralized financial system
is even possible. Yeah. It's definitely a challenge.
Right.
But, challenges often lead to innovation.
Right.
Maybe this friction between centralized and decentralized forces will push us towards new models.
Okay.
Solutions that we haven't even thought of yet.
I like the more optimistic outlook.
Right.
Because it's easy to get caught up in all the doom and gloom.
Yeah, for sure.
But the crypto space has always been about pushing boundaries.
Absolutely.
And finding new solutions.
And let's not forget the power of the community.
Right.
Institutional players are gaining influence.
Yeah.
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 But the grassroots energy that's driven this movement from the beginning is still a major force.
Yeah, the individuals, the developers, the passionate advocates.
Those are the people who will shape the future of crypto.
So, so let's circle back to our conversation about transparency and privacy.
All right.
You made a great point about government spending.
Being on a public blockchain for everyone to see.
Right, but individuals should have the right to keep their information private.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance.
Yeah. We need transparency where it counts.
In institutions.
Corporations.
Governments. But we also need the ability to protect our personal information.
Right, and our financial activities.
It's a delicate balance for sure.
It is, and blockchain technology is uniquely suited to address this.
Imagine being able to choose what information you disclose, but still maintain a verifiable and tamper-proof record.
It's powerful.
It is. It's a powerful tool.
It's almost like having different levels of transparency.
Like that permissioned blockchain Liberland uses.
Oh, yeah. They record transactions publicly.
But it's not completely open.
Right. And that highlights all the different approaches being explored.
Yeah, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
When it comes to balancing transparency and privacy.
It's about finding the right tools and mechanisms for each specific context.
Absolutely. Which brings us back to the importance of critical thinking as we're navigating this ever-changing landscape. Yeah, we have to constantly be questioning our assumptions.
Considering different perspectives.
And understanding the bias.
Inherent in any information source.
I completely agree. The crypto world is full of hype and speculation.
And sometimes outright misinformation.
Honing those critical thinking skills is essential.
To separate the real from the fake.
And make informed decisions.
It's like you have to become your own financial detective.
I love that analogy.
Right. Following the money, understanding the motivations.
Putting the pieces together.
Exactly. And that's what makes the space so captivating.
It's a constant process of learning.
Adapting and challenging our assumptions.
Which is why deep dives like this are so valuable.
They help us step back from those daily headlines.
Connect the dots and gain a deeper understanding.
Of what's shaping the future of finance and tech.
And hopefully spark some thought-provoking questions along the way.
Exactly.
Like, for example, we talked about how geopolitical events can influence crypto markets.
Right.
But what about the other way around? Could crypto, with its global reach and borderless nature, actually influence geopolitics?
Now, that's a conversation for another deep dive.
Indeed it is.
Okay, so for now, let's take a moment to gather our thoughts.
Okay.
And we'll be right back with the final part of this episode,
where we'll explore some actionable insights.
And resources to help you on your crypto journey. Okay, so we're back.
Back for the final part of our crypto deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From government spending and inflation.
To ETFs and all that crypto regulation.
But now let's bring it all home.
What does it all mean for you?
Because knowledge is only powerful when you can actually use it.
So what are some key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, first off, pay attention to those trends we were talking about.
Like that weird spike in Uniswap volume on Thursdays.
Yeah, it could be nothing, but it could also be a sign of something bigger.
And what about stablecoin volume?
That can tell us a lot about how the market's feeling.
And don't forget about tracking those DOGE savings on usdebtclock.org.
That's a real way to see if this whole government efficiency thing is actually working.
If you're into ETFs,
definitely follow Eric Balchunas.
He's a great resource for understanding all that ETF stuff.
Especially in the crypto space.
But beyond those specific tips,
this deep dive has shown how important it is to think critically.
Especially in the crypto world.
Where things move so fast.
And there's so much noise.
Always question your assumptions.
Look at the source.
And dig a little deeper.
Remember that story about Elon Musk and putting treasuries on the blockchain?
Some media outlets went crazy with that one.
Yeah. It's a good reminder to be careful about what you read.
Be selective. Be skeptical.
And form your own opinions.
Based on solid evidence.
Remember, this is a journey.
The crypto space is always changing.
So stay curious, keep learning.
And adapt as you go.
Speaking of learning, remember that scenario we talked about?
With Bitcoin forking.
If it becomes a national reserve currency.
That's a question worth thinking about more.
It really shows how complex this all is.
With decentralized systems and centralized power.
And what it could mean for the future.
So as you keep exploring this world,
here's something to think about.
How can we protect those core values of decentralization?
And individual empowerment.
In a world where governments and institutions are getting more involved in crypto?
It's a tough question.
And one that we all need to think about.
So stay informed, stay engaged.
And keep asking those tough questions.
That's what makes this space so exciting.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into crypto.
We'll see you next time.